Did you bring some fish?
That is quite logical, Captain.
Where shall I strike?
Test your might. Test your might.
Get it out! Get it out!
Test your might. Test your might.
Your mother was a murderer! You smell like a leopard! You are not.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to show 126 of the Geek Card. I am Razerbug, and with me, as always, is the wonderful Robbie Glow.
Hello.
Hello, hello. Everybody's
How are
back
you?
to have their Geek Card stamped for the week.
Yeah,
To answer your unasked question, I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. How was your geeky week?
My geeky week was fun. We're back to making some progress on mythics, which is cool. We had a very good week for what's the word for affixes this week. So we managed to get a +5 done to get us a +6, I think.
We did a +4 to start with, and
Yes.
then we managed to get a last minute one done with a +5 with our guild run.
Yeah. That's
And
good.
then I was invited to do some Discord mythics because they were down a DPS, and I was like, well, I have a DPS, I'll give it a go. My under-geared Warlock, which was at like 380 something, and they're like, oh yeah, we're just going to do a +8. I was like, what? Excuse me. And so I was shitting myself before I even got there. And
At
then,
least you weren't trying to heal a +8.
oh yeah, no, I was. Thankfully, I was just warlocking. Although I did provide health stones, so you could argue I healed just a tiny little bit.
If you use a health stone, does it count as the Warlock did the healing?
No, it counts as it's a personal.
Ah,
So it counts as the person who cast the thing. So
Right.
it's a self heal, really.
mm.
But we did Waycrest Manor, and one of the affixes was volcanic, and Waycrest Manor doesn't have a lot of space in some of it,
No.
so that was quite fun. We managed to get through it though without anyone dying,
That's
so
good.
I was very impressed. And then I opened the weekly chest thing, and I got a 410 out
Oh,
of
very
it for
nice.
that. So I was very, very happy with that. And now my Warlock's at jumped from 380 to 390 in a week.
I'm just
Which
thinking,
is-
I don't think I've done any mythics on my main this week. I think everything has been on my my mage.
Could you almost argue that your mage is becoming your main again?
I guess so, because I'm not really healing in raids anymore. So I guess that switch has kind of happened.
Yeah, I mean, are you kind of bummed out that you're not playing Paladin as much as you were?
I think I'd like to be doing more healing, but I'm not missing doing paladin DPS at all.
But tanking and healing is sort of an option.
Yeah, I mean, I get a chance to tank things because obviously with our main tank having multiple ults, they don't want to be tanking everything we do. So I still get to potter about on the wee golden one with the pigtails.
I'm sure you can heal the raids if you really want to. I mean, people aren't going to say no to an extra healer.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to DPS in the raids until we get to that fight where we are going to need 3 healers, and then if there isn't a third option, obviously I'll be happy to heal it. It's more, I'm more happier than I was sort of maybe 6 weeks ago or several months ago when it was I only had the option of DPS melee DPSing.
Yeah, because I know that novelty lasted all of a week.
Yeah.
I did quite enjoy the fact that your mate had a bit of a talent revision and now does something amazing.
She now makes people bounce.
I know, like
everybody jump.
What was is it Supernova?
It's Supernova, yeah.
Yeah, which was like according to like most quote unquote guides online, it's like the one you should never ever touch.
Yeah, well, I am actually thinking about swapping it out because I have noticed that although it gives me a little bit more DPS in AoE fights, there's not really a great deal of point trying to spec an arcane mage into an AoE fighter. I mean, you can do it, but I just don't think it's very efficient. I'd rather have the maximum output on bosses when we really need to burn something down than have to slog through things. I mean, I noticed that we were quite slow on the pirate that rides the bird in
shark bait.
Yeah, because it's just I mean, okay, so it was tyrannical, so the boss was tougher anyway, but the whole fight would just took longer, I think, because
I actually died in that one as a healer for the first time, I think, ever.
Oh wow,
because,
okay.
Yeah, because it's one of those ones where partway through the fight the bird disappears but then comes back, and you sort of have it has like a straight line stampede effect, but then that's tied in with all the crap that's been left on the floor. So if you get it in just the wrong position and you're trying to avoid the stampede, you end up in the poisonous shit on the floor. And there was nowhere else to stand, so it was either take a bird to the face or stand in the poison. I'm going to die either way, and it ended up being that I got flung from the stampede into the poison. So
no, you got both. There you go.
Yeah, so I ended up with both anyway. But yeah, I think it's nice seeing that, like, going back to your point about the Arcane Mage for AoE builds and things like that, like, I think it's really nice to see that, like, Arcane Mage has the option to be, like, you can talent it so that it can be AoE, but you can also primarily focus on single target.
Yeah, I think I'm going to try and give Arcane Orb a go.
Oh god,
which
right angles of doom.
Yeah, we'd have a Frost Orb and an Arcane Orb both going, which might be quite funny, but I'm thinking of swapping out Supernova for what I had before and then taking Arcane Orb.
I mean, maybe you could have a raid spec and...
yeah, I probably could. There's probably add-ons out there that let me change talents more easy. I'm just too lazy to start swapping a lot of talents around, because there's certain ones that benefit from having other talents and play off against each other, and I don't always follow quite where that's happening. So I think maybe an app might help in this case.
There's something I want to talk about quickly for like mythic progression and things like that.
Yeah.
It's not so. It's more of a cosmetic thing, really. I guess it's cosmetic. You'll know what I mean in a minute. When you're having to do the same dungeon so many times, you would have thought by now there would have been a patch where they'd have alternate speeches. Because there are some fights that you're just like, I've heard this before. I don't need to hear it again. I know it's part of the timer, and I know there's RP in it, but you don't. If I'm on this dungeon for the 5th time in like the space of 3 days, I don't need to hear your spiel about a bloody pig again. Or what is it, Lady Waycrest going on about her husband, which you have to kill him 3 times anyway.
Yeah, the whole having a world boss that spends every minute of the whole fight constantly telling you how you're not going to beat him when you've beaten him like 1,000 times this month.
Yeah, and only just for loot. Like, not even for like progression or story. No. Just like, I just want your items. Like, I just want it. Please let me have it. But I'd hope that there would be some. No, I don't know. Just even if it's just patched in as an option, just like it might just change it.
They could have some fun with it. Like they could actually start having bosses after you've got a certain number of kills on them. You can actually start having bosses, reacting to the fact that you've killed them a lot of times. Like, I don't care how many times you defeat me, I'm never dropping that mount, and that sort of thing.
Oh my god! Right? Yeah,
really trolling the farmers.
I'm sure everybody in ICC would love that. Everyone. But in other bit of WoW news, I think our guild especially has been having a bit of a alt leveling phase.
Yes, we have.
Because I've started my Courtier Druid, who's now, they start at 20, but she's now at 62 in Borean Tundra, which is good. Thanks, Azerite Autopilot, for that.
If it was working.
It worked, yeah, but we found out what the problem was in the end. You have to be the correct. It's a weird thing where the game says, "Oh yeah, you can be 58 in this place," but then Azeroth Autopilot will be like, "But you have to be 60," and it has a bit of a hissy fit. But anyway, so yeah, I think we've had our main tank who is now leveling a warrior. We've had our hunter level a warlock, and I think you're leveling a warlock.
I'm leveling a warlock.
Yeah, I'm
And
leveling
obviously I've leveled my mage up to 120 recent as part of the recent spate as well.
Yeah, so it I don't know whether it's because it's like we just want to have some, I guess, almost downtime, because it is kind of downtime leveling, isn't it? But also, I think also like having the variety of end game options to form parties with the same people.
Yeah, and I think this expansion's in a good place for leveling alts.
Yeah,
They've managed to make it so there's multiple options, so it doesn't get too repetitive.
yeah.
The thing for me is when you're leveling alts because we've all got out of sync in terms of who's available, what times, and when. And the introduction of Discord has meant that we can group up with people outside of our immediate friendship groups and all that sort of thing. So I think I think it's just natural. I don't think it's anything to do with WoW or the state of the game. I think we, as in just the people who we know, have fallen into or out of sequence with each other. So instead of doing group content constantly, we're actually just picking up things we can do on our own.
Yeah, and I mean, even if that's just like 3 people are online at one time, they like because of Discord and stuff, we still have the options of like, well, not just communicating while we're leveling, so it's not just a tedious thing, but also with other people who are in our sort of extended guild, whatever you want to call it,
Yeah.
the community page thing on Discord, they can always be like, oh hey, like there's another slot. And if you're not like doing anything with your guild, like come along, and it gives us options to do that as well. So
I think also a lot of us are starting to play outside of our original comfort zones, and we're not just playing the things we always have done. We're also trying other things. I mean, our best melee DPS person that only ever plays melee DPS characters has now started tanking.
oh god, yeah, I completely forgot about that.
Yeah, so all of us are trying things outside our comfort zone. I mean, I think our I'm a tank and I'll live and die a tank has already expressed an opinion that they might do a bit of healing. So it's all up in the air at the moment.
Oh god, oh the dynamics, all weird. But I also did some D&D this week, but we lost our War Cleric because they were an idiot.
Oh dear.
We're like, oh, let's go do some like hunting or something. I can't quite remember what it was. And essentially they had a dream the night before that like they had to go and kill this great beast for something. And of course we find this wyvern dragon thing, and he's like, oh, that looks like my dream, and just runs up to it, and then in one hit he's literally knocked out.
Yeah.
And then it's like, what do we do now? Oh wait, you critted on the second hit and he's dead. Right. Oh fuck. What do we do?
Wow.
So after about 20 minutes of trying to kill something that we weren't expected to fight anyway, we did that. Lost another party member, so that's now 2 deaths in this campaign so far. So
Nice.
going well.
Yep.
So well.
The GM's marking some notches in the table.
Oh god. Well, we did kind of like an attempt to like send off for them, by which I mean we literally put his body on a boat in a river and set fire to it.
Nice.
And off he
I
went.
didn't know you could set fire to a river.
No, it was on a boat.
Never mind.
No, we just poured the gasoline in it. It's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, I played some D&D this week as well. You remember I said that we'd been betrayed by another player and it was going to turn into PvP?
No?
Do you not?
No. Did it not happen that way?
We got a little bit of it. We started off with a bit of PvP, but it very quickly became evident that we were able to manipulate the NPCs that the player had betrayed us to. And so it ended up with being player and NPC versus player. At which point they decided that discretion was the better point of valor and buggered off. They tried to use a magic item that seemed to let them basically move 4 times on their turn, and we all sort of got confused and turned to the books about whether you could do that or not. And then the GM ruled that it was only something you could do to other people; you couldn't cast it on yourself.
Right.
because the spell was worded a creature you can see and that can see you.
Which doesn't include you.
Yeah, and so we made the tentative argument that if you had been looking in a mirror, you may have been able to cast it on yourself, but not.
How long was the debate about this? Was this like a
Um,
nerd out, or was it just a yeah,
it,
that's fair?
it nearly got to that, and then the DM's ruling seemed fair to everybody, so we stuck with it. Although, actually, having said that, we've now gone back to the books, and it looks like this power could work that way. I mean, it could allow you to move up to 4 times using bonus and reactions, but not be cast on yourself. So.
Okay.
So anyway, so what happened there was we reduced the player who was attacking us to 0 hit points, and then everyone turns and looks at my character because I'm a true neutral grave cleric who thinks that the only certain thing in life is that everyone will die, and has been mostly sort of saving people and healing people by saying it's not their turn to die, not their time to die. Sorry. So when suddenly the players gets reduced to 0, they all look at me like, oh, I can either, knowing that I can either coup de grace them, as in actually remove the player from the game, or I can heal them. So I unbeknownst to the rest of the group, or I told them I was going to do this, but we didn't get the results. I cast Augury, which lets you know if something is going to be good, bad, or good and bad if you do something in the next 30 minutes. So I asked if I should heal the player who detects us. And after a bit of discussion back and forth, the GM takes me out of the room and says that the result is wheel, that it will be good. And so I first, because clerics can cast, grave clerics can cast Spare the Dying as a bonus action and a 30-yard range. So I was able to just from a distance make sure that player wouldn't die, and then later on when we weren't being observed, I was able to heal them up. So yeah, at the moment they're being taken, air quotes, unconscious to see one of the big NPC chiefs of the town. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, it's interesting, actually having this ability to get some idea of what the future, what actions would be good and bad. But obviously it's up to the GM. I don't know if the GM just decided to save the character, or whether they actually agreed something beforehand. But yeah, so it turned out interesting, and it means the game is going on for a bit longer. We were actually worried it was going to just end with a bit of PvP and that would be it.
Yeah, it's nice that it sort of went that way then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have another bit of news in my Geeky Week that happened just today, in fact.
Oh, I just saw this in the notes and I was like, oh, that happened last night. I can totally understand where this is going.
Yes, mine was supposed to happen last night, but I put it off because I was out and I didn't want it to necessarily update while I was out and potentially risk bricking the phone. What do you think of Android P then?
Oh, God. It's weird.
It's a bit fugly.
The scroll down thing is definitely, and I know why they've done this, but there's something that's very, very annoying about it. Is that if you have Bluetooth on but it's not connected to anything, there'll be no icon in the status bar thing. But if it's connected to something, it will be. And I'm just like, but I need to know whether Bluetooth's on or not. I don't want to have to scroll a thing and find it.
But that's... Oh, I see what you mean. Yes. Yeah. I recognise that now because I've got my smartwatch on, but the battery's dead, so it's not connected. And I was looking, and yeah, I see what you mean. There's no notification at a glance that
you've got Bluetooth on. Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
And I tried to find a way to get it to work, but it's part of the thing. It's like, oh, because of notches, it's a notch thing.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay.
And I'm like, but I don't have a notch on my phone, so I should be allowed to do it. But I can totally see that space is at a premium at the top of a notch phone. Because there's an option to have notifications sort of filtered more so than before.
Oh, interesting.
Like if you swipe a number of times on the same thing, it says you keep swiping this away. Do you want this to keep showing, or do you want this to stop?
Oh, okay, I like that.
Yeah,
I think I like the side-scrolling multi-app switching thing, whereas it used to be vertical before.
Mm-hmm.
I think I prefer that, but I really don't like what they've done with the groups. So every icon has to be the same round circle, and if you have lots of groups, it shows lots of small round circles cut off by a bigger round circle that they're in. It's really not.
I'm not sure because
Nice.
like on mine it's on like there's a big white circle and then it's like whatever the top app in the group is the smaller circle.
Oh, okay. Mine shows like 4 of the smaller apps all sort of squashed into a larger circle.
I think it's because I use is it Nova theme?
Okay.
So it's because I use a third party theme manager thing.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe I'll have a look and see what the
I'm just using the
main
stock
one, like the
one.
Google Now one is, or whatever it is.
Yeah. I do overall though like the fact that the phone seems smoother. It seems to have
Oh
got
no, I
quicker
totally
and-
see what you mean now. Like it's got a circle, and then it's like in like four smaller circles with it slightly cut off. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm happier with the the way that it's done it with mine, where they've instead of having the smaller ones, it's just like a small one with a line of apps to show that there's a group. Like I prefer it that way. Oh dear.
But so yes, I like the update. I don't like that the art style has changed for the more Fisher Pricey style.
Have
I'm
you
not
tried
sure.
the unlock at a glance thing?
No, I haven't. But I've used facial unlock on Android phones before, and it's always a bit shit. You can generally unlock it with anyone's face.
Yeah, I've opted not to turn that on. Funnily enough,
No, we've both got fingerprint readers on our phones, so I don't
yeah,
really see the
much
point.
easier.
Especially with the placement of the fingerprint reader on the back of mine. I almost basically unlock it, picking it up, even if I don't mean to.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
yeah. In other interesting news, my work phone, which was a BlackBerry Pre, basically started to catch fire.
What?
Well, it got very, very hot to the point where I couldn't keep it in my pocket. So I started, try to keep it out on the desk as often as possible, and noticed that it was losing power very quickly. So I put it on charge. I charged it up to 100%, and about an hour and a half later, it was dead. And it was extremely hot to the touch. So I can only conclude that the battery was absolutely well and truly gone. So work is replacing my phone with the latest Sony XZ. So that'd be very nice.
Oh god! Well, imagine if like a couple of weeks down the line, it's like, there's a major problem with this phone. But no, I doubt there will be. But
no, I think it's just the phone is 3 years old, and I basically have it on 24/7.
Okay, right.
Yeah, it's just like that's a hard-working phone because it's a work phone. So yes.
So it's the beginning of April.
It is.
You know what that means?
I do. It means some people are being very foolish.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about the UK government at the moment.
Oh, yeah. So, April Fool's jokes in tech. Okay.
Indeed, they've had some fun.
Yeah, I'm looking at them now.
Did you have a favourite?
Not on this list, but there was one that I liked, which I will just find. While you talk about these ones, I'll find it for you.
My favourite one was also not on this list. It was the Stack Overflow one. That oh no, do I mean Stack Overflow? No, I mean Spiceworks. I can't remember now. I think it probably was Stack Overflow, but they basically returned their whole website to Web 0.1. It was very early 90s with everything going on. So, yeah, that was a lot of fun. The Spotify joke was to change the weekly Discover, and it turned everything into disco covers.
Disco cover weekly because
Weekly, exactly.
Yeah. That's actually quite a clever one.
Yeah, it was, and a lot of people said they actually liked the music that they were getting suggested. So that's pretty good.
The Microsoft one was a bit odd. for me.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's not really that much of a surprise, is it?
Yeah, because it was like the internal memo thing,
Yeah.
which I can't remember what it actually said in it, but
It said, I appreciate that people may have devoted time and resources to these activities, but I believe we have more to lose than gain by attempting to be funny for one day.
so it was like a meta April Fool's joke.
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not even convinced it was a joke.
Are you just like, we can't? Bureaucracy gone mad? No.
Yeah, it's just literally someone just doesn't like April Fool's jokes. So,
I mean, were there some April Fool's jokes that, like, from like the general populace of things like that you quite like this year?
Google always do a range of things, don't they?
Yeah. Like that one was good.
The one that's listed in the tech amongst the tech ones was the making a screen cleaner.
Yeah, like I like this because I use the Google file system. So this one was kind of like, we're going to be able to actually clean your screen if you spilt things on it. Like it would be like a windshield wiper thing, or what do you call those things that do the squeegee? Yeah, I quite like that one. That was probably the best one. But like one of the best ones that Google did. But there was another one that Google did, which I've just seen it is linked in here, and they did on Google Maps. There was a playable version of Snake.
Nice.
Which was actually quite good, yeah. But like the Amazon one was just an awful pun.
Yeah,
like get hooked on Audible for fish. Like, okay. Like even I like a good pun, but like you should have just stopped with get hooked on Audible and then just left it.
The Nvidia one was interesting. They did what's it? They pretended they'd made a virtual assistant, like a Cortana or what's the Amazon one?
Alexa.
Except this one had a hologram in it. But which is like, okay, you kind of went too far there, but yeah, they seem to make quite a cool idea of that.
Unfortunately, the one that I liked has been deleted by the company, so which is a shame. But essentially, it's one of these saving app things that's like an algorithm. And they offered a new way of using of credit cards, and essentially what it was is like they called it the company's called Chip. But they called it Chip Lead, and it was meant to be a heavy credit card that changed its PIN and passcode every other day. So so it was like trying to guess what the PIN was, so to make it more exciting to make purchases, which I quite liked, and it was just a bit silly, a bit of fun, really. Especially when it's like when you're quite dreary-eyed and you get a notification on your phone saying we've launched a new product. I'm like, wait, what? And then I read it. It's like, this sounds really. Oh, I get it. It's a joke. Okay. There was a WoW themed one. There was a WoW head one. I don't know if you saw it, but
no, I don't think so.
It was essentially an 8.2 PTR build roundup thing. But what they had done was they were like, oh yes, we've sourced all these things, and one of them is the new Lightbound Undead, and they had all these models, and it's like, oh, that sounds really cool. And then you scroll down and it's like, oh, wait, what? It's like, oh, if you do the new Baron's Warfront, you get a customization for your characters so that they can be purple and void touched. I'm like, okay. Right. And then the one that I finally got it was there was an overtuned Pepe goggles toy, which was basically going to turn everyone into Pepes. And then I was like, oh, that's good. I get what you're going for now.
Yeah,
because
but they do one where they turn everyone into corgis.
Yeah, so that one was within the realm of possibility, but like the first one was like an actual serious one that people have wanted, and it's like, oh, it's too soon, too soon, Wowhead, too soon.
There was another one which a lot of people are like, oh, but I actually wanted that to be real, which was Via announced that they were doing a ride sharing service.
Oh yes.
Or tandem
bikes.
Yes,
I'd seen that one. That was good.
Fun.
One thing though that wasn't an April Fool's, and I had to check with the date before I put this in this, is that Apple is abandoning one of its new wireless charging solution products. And this is a serious thing that's actually happening by Apple. And it's like, so Apple was trying to use the AirPower wireless as their sort of standard for like Q charging. And essentially what it was is that it was a mat, like a mouse mat side thing that you plug in to electrical power, but you just rest the items on top and it would charge it. But they've announced that they've had to discontinue on this product because they couldn't make it work adequately. So one of them was that it was understood by the phone's engineers that they were unable to stop the mat from getting too hot. And
that doesn't surprise me because induction charging does get very old.
And then it says, after much effort, we've concluded that AirPower will not achieve our high standards and we have to have to cancel the project, the firm said.
It's kind of a shame because of all of Apple's most recent announcements, this one was one that I thought was, well, not recent, it was 2015, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But this was one of the ones I thought, I really hope, there's an Android equivalent of this.
Well, that's the thing, it's because Apple's rivals, Huawei and Samsung, have already released products that are similar to this and that work.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's one of those ones that they wanted to be like, we got to be the best of the best. And yeah.
I wonder if they, as soon as they've been beaten to it, they decided, that's it.
We're not going to get this product. Because unlike most things with like Apple versus Android, it's like, charging is sort of a universal thing. If you use because I'm pretty sure they have to use the same standard.
Yeah, but they're not necessarily, because some are using USB-C now rather than.
Oh no, I meant USB, the mat itself, like when you rest the thing on the top of the thing, it's going to charge whether it's an Apple or an Android. It's not going to discriminate between whichever one you've put on it.
I don't know. It depends if the coil inside the phone is going to.
So maybe there would be some form of firmware thing then,
or possibly just even down to a frequency thing. The frequency of the coil in the mat needs to match the one in the back of the device, I imagine.
Yeah, but what did you think of the fact that they've said that because we can't get this to work how well we want it to, they've just completely given up?
I respect that. I mean, I think that it's much like Blizzard in terms of they will not release something until it's done, and in fact, if something is not going to be a Blizzard standard game, they will just drop it, as we saw with Project Titan. I think Apple have the same. They have to be the high-end luxury desirable brand, and if they put something out there which is functioning subpar, it hurts their image.
Yeah, I mean, having having phones that cost over $1,000 and having a watch that is £300, and I don't even know how much the wireless headphones are, but I'd imagine they're not cheap.
No, probably not. But I mean, that's it. You've got to, if you're going to charge that money for things when there are cheaper and equally good products on the market, you're going to need to have that absolute level of this is the best of the best and it always works really well. And whether or not that's the case, because I work in IT support and I know for a fact Apple products do not always work, you still need to give that mystique of it. And if you put out a second-rate charging mat, or even worse, something that does the job but then burns your kids, who stumble around and grab tabletops and that sort of thing, then you're just setting yourself up for a drop in credibility. And
so it's better to take the hit with not releasing a shoddy product.
Absolutely, yeah. I genuinely think that in a few weeks' time, everyone will have forgot Apple was even going to do this, and they won't. But if they'd put out a product that was inferior and didn't work, or even worse, hurt someone, then that would be remembered for a long time.
Yeah. But you found some things about phones. It seems to be a phone show this week.
It's a phone show. You could say we're phoning it in, but there you go. But it's an audio presentation, so we're always phoning it in. Anyway, so this is the Bendy Phones saga that continues. LG have put in patents for a bendy phone, and there's some previews released about it. It is going to be a standard size and shape phone that folds in the middle to be a phone that's folded in half.
Yeah, the pictures are quite odd.
The pictures are very odd, and it sort of just folds in half like a piece of paper. Like it doesn't lie flat; it's still a sort of wedge shape, like a lot of the other bendy phones have been doing. But unlike the Galaxy Fold and the Mate X, this Fold doesn't really
It doesn't serve a
seem to
purpose.
do anything. It only has a screen on the front, so when you fold it closed, it's just half the size.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of this, which is weird considering I really like the LG. Is it the sandwich phone thing? The foldable phone.
Yes.
I really like that as a.
I mean, that's just a hinged phone with two screens, but that brings extra functionality for the form.
And it's a clamshell as well, so that's like having a. Yeah, I guess the equivalent would be having a Nintendo DS as a phone.
Yeah, actually, that's a good
but I really like that as opposed to this foldable piece of whatever it is, which I'm sure a lot of money goes into the technology and everything. But this just I'm not a fan of that one. I'm afraid.
Yeah, it gets even weirder because Lenovo have put in an offering. That famous phone manufacturer. Although I suppose, given that our Motorola's are both.
Yeah, I mean they just have to get that sneaky little bit whenever you start the phone up. It's like a big Hello Moto thing and then a little tiny flag saying Lenovo.
So yeah, their offering is a long, thin phone that bends in the lower third back on itself. So a small screen, which is usually on the back of the device, is now over the top of the
main screen,
large screen on the front of the device. Why? Why, if I had the screen real estate there in the first place, do I now want it to fold in a third of it back on itself and cover up what I was seeing before?
I don't know. The only thing I can think of is that they're going for it's a gimmick phone.
Would be a gimmick. It's just a bad gimmick.
No, but what I mean is that like most phones look the same, just with a logo on them, right? But this is distinguishable. I
guess, yeah.
Even if it is known as the phone with the really weird clamp in the middle.
It's just it's bizarre.
Can we talk about how Motorola's trying to get a new Razer, though? If you look in the link of the foldable phone, just underneath the headline it's got, and we've already seen the potential of foldy phones from Lenovo, being that the company owns Motorola, which is working on a bendy version of the Razer, and then look at the sketch for that.
This is going to sound weird. That looks like Iron Man's head without any eyes and mouth drawn on.
But it looks like a functioning phone. And it looks like a phone that you could use as a flip phone that protects the screen. Which isn't actually a terrible idea.
The only thing I would say is that the second... Oh, that's probably the back of the device, isn't it? I see. Right. I was going to say...
Yeah, sorry, yeah. It's got the main screen, which is the inside, and then the outside, which is the body of the phone, has a hinge in the middle. So you can close it like an old Razer phone.
And it has the extra lip at the bottom, which is where it kept the things like the battery. I like that, actually. That looks really good.
Trying to get a protective case that would fold with it, though, would be a pain. But actually, for any of these phones, having like a gel case or some form of case that can protect it is going to be the struggle, surely, more than the phone itself.
Yeah, I think you'd end up with cases that have a bit of fabric over where the fold would be.
Oh, yeah.
It's only really fabric that can fold like that without warping out to the sides, because if you fold
like a gel case,
molded gel things, they will
bows at the middle.
Yeah.
But I quite like this, even though it's just a sketch and there's no official like photos or anything. I quite like the potential idea for that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and that's also a show.
That is a show.
Yeah.
It's a foldable show. Do we bend in the middle?
Oh, I mean, you can if you like try. Your back is foldable.
So, we have a slightly shorter form show this week, but there we go. So, if you feel the need for a bit more podcast goodness to see you through the day, then I highly recommend you head over to the Voice of Geeks Network, which we are proud to be part of, and which has amazing shows like their flagship Orange Lounge Radio, Starboard Power Coupling, the all things space sci-fi, and of course Girls Gone Wow, who
those
who
those
heartily
people.
recommend for those of you who like a bit of Warcraft.
Those people, those fine folks.
Those fine folks indeed. You can find those guys at www.vognetwork.com, and you can find us there on Thursdays, not live, because we record this. And we go out on Vog Network a day before we go out everywhere else on the internets. So that's vognetwork.com/the-geek-card.
Yes.
Robbie,
Yeah.
where can people find you on the internets?
They can find me at Twitter at Robbie_Glow.
And they can find me at RZBG. And I have been stalling while I try and find the stamp because I'd lost it.
Well, while you find
found
it, you can also find the show at TGC Show
indeed.
on Twitter as
and
well.
in the meantime, I need you to fold your geek card to me.
Oh.
Thank you. Very good. Ink the stamp and all shipshape, Bristol fashion, and up to date once more for this week.
Bristol fashion.
I don't know where that saying comes from. I have to look that up.
Oh,
Well,
wow.
Thank you all, and goodbye.
Bye.
You've been listening to The Geek Card with your hosts, Razerbug and Robbie Glow. You can find The Geek Card wherever fine podcasts are found and on the web at thegeekcard.podbean.com. The Geek Card is a proud member of the Voice of Geeks Network, where you can find other amazing podcasts like Orange Lounge Radio, Starboard Power Coupling, and Girls Gone Wow. Find out more at www.vognetwork.com.